Hello everybody and welcome to Larry Under Pressure. Today we're going to be fixing black beans and rice. It's one of my favorites from Tampa, where I grew up. It has a significant Cuban influence to the food, and these are no exception. They're just delicious. We'll be fixing them in the Ninja Foodi, but you can fix them in any pressure cooker, whether it be a Ninja Foodi or a power pressure cooker or an Instant Pot. It doesn't make any difference. They'll all work the same way. So let's go ahead and get started and get to cooking. To start with, we're going to turn on the Foodi to sear saute high and let it warm up for just a few minutes. The pot's been warming up now for about 4 or 5 minutes, so let's go ahead and put the bacon in. We're using 4 strips of center cut, thick cut bacon that's been cut into smaller pieces, and we're gonna cook that in here and saute it until it is pretty well done. It doesn't have to be completely done because it's going to cook through the whole process and into the pressurized part too, so there won't be any problem that it'll be undercooked pork, so you don't have to worry about that. But you do need to get a little bit of sear on it and get some color. So let's fry that for just a few minutes, and then we're going to add our next ingredient. Our next ingredient after we fry that is going to be the Holy Trinity vegetable mix, and that is bell pepper, onion, and celery. I buy it already pre-cut up and pre-mixed at Publix. It's just as cheap or cheaper than if you buy the individual components and put it together yourself. So we're going to put that in and let that cook. We also need to put in a tablespoon of garlic, but we're not going to put that in right away because it'll burn if we put it in initially. So we want to give it a little bit of time before we put the garlic in. The bacon's got a little bit of brown to it, so we're going to go ahead and put the Holy Trinity vegetables in and saute them until the onions begin to turn translucent. And that's probably going to take about 2 or 3 minutes. So once these begin to cook, I'll come back and we'll take it from there. That's looking and smelling real good, and it's been cooking now for about 10 minutes. Let's go ahead and put the black beans in. These beans have been washed and rinsed and inspected. I use Camellia Brand. They're the best beans, period, whether they're red beans, black beans, or whatever. If you can get Camellia beans where you live, you definitely need to stick with those and not any other type. Okay, we'll get the beans in there and stir it in. And next we're going to use some chicken stock, and we're going to use enough to be twice as high as the beans are. So I'm going to put in 4 cups to begin with. And that doesn't look like quite enough. I've still got the pot on sear saute high, and I'm going to deglaze the pot with the first liquid that I've put in there so we don't get a burn notice, and stir everything around. And I'm going to get a couple cups more of the chicken stock. That's about 6 cups total, and it looks right. Got that all stirred up. And now it's time to get everything cooking. Next we're going to put the pressure top on the pot, close it, and make sure we turn the valve to seal, and set the pot up to cook. Let's push the power button to turn it off of sear saute. We'll push the power button to get the pot back on. We're going to push pressure. We want it on high, and we're going to go for 30 minutes. And start the pot. It'll start its countdown. You can see that it's preparing now, and it's going to run for about 10 minutes, and then it's going to turn on and start the countdown for 30. At the end of the time, we'll come back and I'll show you what to do next. So hang in there. Our time is almost up on the 30-minute initial cook time. There it goes. It's over with, so we're going to do a quick release on the pot at this time. So the pin has dropped now, where all the pressure's off the pot. Let's open it up and see what it looks like. Ooh, they look real good. We're going to stir them just a little bit. See what the consistency's perfect. Of course, we've got a little more cooking to do. Next thing we're going to do is cook our rice. And let's get that together and we'll get it ready for the pot. Like so many other people that cook with the Ninja Foodi and the other pressure cookers, I like cooking everything in one pot as much as possible. It saves with cleanup and just makes things a whole lot easier. So I'm using this little pan. You can use any kind of pot or pan that you want that'll fit, that you can cook pot in pot and have a cover. If you don't have a cover, you can always use a piece of aluminum foil or whatever you like to cover it. So I'm going to put 1 cup of long grain white rice. I'm going to use just a pinch of salt, maybe 2 pinches. I'm going to use 1.5 cups of regular just water. Stir that around. And I like a little butter in mine, so I'm going to put about maybe a tablespoon of butter, more or less. And put the lid on, and then we'll get it in the Foodi. We're going to take that pot we just put the rice in, and you can use aluminum foil strips to make handles for it if you want to, but we're going to sit it right down in, right on the black beans. And then we're going to put the pressure lid back on and cook the rice, and at the same time finish up the black beans. So we're going to turn the valve to seal and set the pot up. And here we go. We're going to turn the pot on. We're going to go to pressure, high pressure for 12 minutes and start. At the end of the 12 minutes, when the pot beeps, we're going to let it do a natural pressure release for another 12 minutes before we open it. So we'll be back at that time and take a look, and everything should be done then. Cooking time with the rice piggybacked on top of the black beans is done. We're going to leave it on keep warm, leave the keep warm on, and let it count up to 12 minutes. When it gets to 12 minutes, we'll release any remaining steam and take everything out of the pot and give it a try. There's our 12 minutes, so we're going to go ahead and turn the pot off and release the rest of the pressure manually. We kind of steamed up the lens there a little bit. Should drop now any second. And we're going to get the rice bowl out of there. There's probably 2 or 3 easy ways and 1 real hard way to get that out of there, but most likely I've chosen the hard way. If you can think of a better way or an easier way, leave it in the comments below and we'll try it next time. There it went. It's just a boiling. Look at that rice, perfectly cooked. The beans look good. Stir them up a little bit. I see the bacon all in them, the bay leaves, and they smell incredibly good. Now, one last thing we have to add to them is 2 tablespoons of white vinegar. The recipe actually calls for a ½ cup of vinegar, but I think that's too much. So I use 2 tablespoons. You can use as much or as little as you like in yours. As I always say, make it your own and see how it goes. Now let's see how the rice looks. The rice looks great. It's perfectly cooked, as moist as it should be, but not dry. And it looks ready to go. Glad I put the butter in there. The butter always makes it a little easier to break apart because it kind of lubricates each little grain of rice. Look how nice that rice is. Perfect. Let's plate it up and see what it tastes like.
Yeah.
Let's get some rice in the bowl. And then get our black beans. Get these bay leaves out of there. Look how pretty that looks. It looks delicious, doesn't it? Let's see what it tastes like. Cooked real well. The rice and the beans are all cooked perfectly. Hope you've enjoyed this recipe. If you've enjoyed it and you try it and you like it, I'd encourage you to go to the bottom of this listing and give me a thumbs up and even subscribe to my channel. Also, below this is a full description of the recipe and some comments. If you have comments you'd like to leave, I'd encourage you to do so. Thank you. It's always nice to have you in the kitchen. Larry Under Pressure, and we'll see you next time.